Hi everyone, and welcome back. And Supervisor Richard Forster is going to continue with the agenda.
Okay, we have a discussion again on the state mitigation funds from the Mule Creek State Prison, the division of those funds between the City of Ione and County of Amador. We're going to bring it back one more time and try again on that issue. We have City of Ione has submitted a letter this time and talks about how they're going to treat the money and what they're going to do with it, and I think that'll be enough to resolve the situation.
All right.
We also have an item that, let's see, that's the next item. This item is back again. This was on the hydrological study for the Lincoln Mine water impacts that the Pinotti family, Gene Pinotti, is claiming that that Sutter Gold Mine is responsible here. Staff has come back and said they don't have enough guidance from the board as to what to do. So they're coming back with basically a list here of what they feel might be reasonable. For instance, at a minimum, they say the scope should include collection and review of information in the county's possession, as well as the Pinotti's, review of the site, the mine, the seep, the conveyance system, review and analysis of the historical or old public information data germane to the issue.
So is this still in fact-finding then?
It will be once you have to hire a hydrologist to go in, and there's also things they might look at like blast logs, location of underground workings. I mean, there's a whole array of things. Every time you do it, though, Sutter Gold, Lincoln Mine, Sutter Gold's assertion is every time you do that, the costs just keep going up. You know, this could be $100,000. It could be $10,000, depending on the amount of work that a hydrologist is required to do.
Oh, okay.
Now, an item that was originally placed on the consent agenda, it was an error, and that item, there's been actually an addendum to the agenda, but this is the regular meeting agenda has been amended.
All right.
And this item has been placed on the regular agenda from the consent agenda.
Okay.
And this all has to do with an ordinance talking about signs, and you know, when a couple years ago back when the when the economy was really bad, now it's just bad, not really bad, but when it was really bad, the board passed an ordinance so it would allow people to put up more signage and banners and things like that. Staff came back with an ordinance now that would extend it for 2 years. So pretty simple item. The board gave direction there. This looks like a lot. The board's basically already gone through this. This is the 2014-15 Amador County budget, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But you know, at this point, it is what it is. We've had a $600,000 structural deficit. We started an early retirement program. The program wasn't as effective as we wanted it to be because some employees didn't see the common sense in the county giving them money for their years of service to put in a health retirement savings account for tax-free. Now, I can see the benefit in that. Some employees couldn't see the benefit in that, so they just wanted the money straight away. We've started a program now, a 36-hour work week, voluntary, being somewhat effective, but you know, on the negative side, we're tobacco securitization funds. We've been noticed that we're receiving $180,000 less of that. The special distribution fund gaming money, we've been noticed that you're getting $260,000 less of that. Actually, the account is zeroed out, so the $260,000 we normally get, we're not going to get this year.
When you come up with the hours that the employees for the county work, that's negotiated with the employees. That's not something that you dictate to them, is it?
No, right now we're not dictating anything. It's all voluntary.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to be that to be clear. It seemed to be somewhat in the electoral process out there last last go around that seemed like that statements were made that the board had decided what was going to be done there.
Well, we haven't decided anything yet. Anything we do, we have to negotiate with the unions anyway. And even on programs like these, we go to the union and we tell them what's going on.
That's why I'm just bringing that up for clarity, so you have an opportunity to state that to the public that these are issues that are agreed upon.
Yeah, I mean, even if we get to a point where we can't balance the budget and we have to have some involuntary programs. We have to go to the union and talk to the union about that. It doesn't mean it's going to stop the board from doing it, but I like the furlough program we had before. Even the board was participating in that. Even though most board members were not taking furlough, they were still coming in. And I know there were employees who were coming in on the Fridays, even when they weren't being paid for it. We have a couple of items left. One of them is the grand jury report, the final report from the Amador County Civil Grand Jury, and talks about, I haven't read through the whole thing, I've read some of the areas. I didn't think one thing was appropriate in it at all. The County Administration Committee, they put down the Health and Human Services building lease dash, we did the math with an exclamation point. Totally inappropriate for for something like the grand jury to title it in that fashion. It's mocking. You know what? Things happen. Cite them, but don't mock the situation. And really, I haven't seen the grand jury do anything like this in the past. And for a good grand jury like this one to do something like that, I thought was a little out of character. But they do talk about the building. You know, they give some shots to the county where they're deserved. County should have done a better job monitoring that situation when Health and Human Services building came in. They should have done a better job looking at if we get money in exchange for a continued lease or money in exchange for a lease that's extended in the future. Is that a good idea? The one thing they didn't cite very much in here is that we entered into probably the worst recession we've ever seen, close to a depression. Right. And they also didn't cite that the state has obligations, and the state is basically reneging on those obligations through realignment, through the realignment process, and the dollar amount that we used to see in the Health and Human Services Department up here has come down here. So the state, through this economic cycle we've been in, has basically keeping more of our tax dollars and not sending it back our way to take care of our programs and things. So we'll take the credit that, you know what, the design process of that building was very poor. We could be making significantly more revenue on the building if it was redesigned, but we would have to put money into that too. Is that something we want to do? I'm not so sure about that. So they did a good job at taking a lot of well-deserved shots at the board. They didn't do a good job of pointing out some of the things that happened during this cycle that exacerbated the situation very severely.
What year was the planning done on that? Do you have that off the top of your head?
I think it was clear back in 2008, something like that. And it's basically right before we hit this.
Right in the end of the heady days of thinking there was a lot of money in the economy that was going to keep roaring.
Well, and the thought was, too, back then, that the state has an obligation, and the state is funding at certain levels. Those historic levels should stay at those levels. And the state basically doesn't adhere to that philosophy, because when things go bad, the state's going to take care of the state. They're not going to take care of the counties and cities.
And as the tail, you can't wag the dog.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, it's a good grand jury. They asked a lot of tough questions, made a lot of good points in here. I thought it was a little cheap of them to title it in that fashion.
Okay, we've got about a minute and a half. What did you think was the better finding or the best finding that they came up with?
Oh, just all the way through here. I liked what they said about the Education Committee, the bad behavior on the board. I think there'll be another complaint again next year against the school board with the actions of some of the school board members. I have never seen a public committee, public body, that limits public comment in the fashion they do. Our board has 3 minutes per person, but anybody can speak, and our board also allows anyone to speak on agenda items after they are presented. School district allows 20 minutes, that's it. 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes. So that means if...
20-minute total?
20-minute totals. That means if 10 people want to speak, well, if 8 of them have already used up 3 minutes, that's expended most of your time right there. That's gone well below. So 7 people can basically use the time, and one of them only gets 2 minutes. If anybody else wants to speak, nope, 20 minutes. And then you have agenda items, and if the public wants to speak on those, they say, nope, we're not taking public comment. I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
Now I can tell you that if nobody else files a complaint, I'm going to file it, because that's just ridiculous. And they really hit the school district on some of those areas already, in a minor way, but some of them, they said they were flat-out Brown Act violations. Well, if there are Brown Act violations, those are prosecutable offenses, as Supervisor Ray Nutting found out over in El Dorado County, where he lost his office, he's spending time in jail, and he had to pay a fine.
Okay.
So
Serious violations, Brown Act. All right, not necessarily speaking to this, but meaning to violate the Brown Act.
I'm saying what they said.
Okay, we need to go, Richard, and once again, want to thank you for coming by. And it's going to a lot of items on the agenda. And once again, it seems that the county gets in trouble from not enough money coming from the state, and to do the things that the state wants them to do.
Well, I'm not going to say the county's perfect either, though. They had a right to investigate this item,
Oh, sure.
and they made some good points as to things that should have been done or should not have been done.
Okay. All right. Thanks for watching TSPN. We'll catch you again next time. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.